Eagles Entertainment.
Welcome to the Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro with you from Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles started their 2020 home schedule on a big-time downer note, losing to the Los Angeles Rams 37-19. So there are some major concerns about this football team. Carson Wentz among them. He threw 2 more interceptions, including one in the end zone with the Eagles trailing by 5 points in the third quarter. A pass attempt to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. We'll hear from Carson Wentz in just a few minutes. Wentz with 4 interceptions in 2 games after throwing 7 interceptions in each of the last 3 seasons. His touchdown to interception ratio among the best in the league. But right now, he's got 2 touchdown passes and 4 interceptions, and the Eagles turning the football over a total of 3 times on Sunday, including one from running back Miles Sanders 3 snaps into the game. The Rams recovered and turned that into 7 quick points on the way to a 21-3 lead that the Eagles just couldn't recover from. They did get some highlights, though, here and there. Miles Sanders returned to the lineup, ran the ball effectively, 20 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Wentz scoring on a touchdown as well. But that was it. The Eagles struggling once again on defense. And oh boy, at 0-2, the Eagles have an uphill climb in the NFC East. Before we go in to the post-game scene with head coach Doug Pederson, with Wentz, with Sanders, and with defensive end Brandon Graham, along with center Jason Kelce, let's get some analysis from the radio team of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, following this extremely disappointing home opener. Mike and Merrill, a very disappointing game at Lincoln Financial Field to open the home schedule here in 2020. Let's start with you, Mike. Some of the takeaways you have from a loss that is very disappointing. We can look at both sides of the ball here. A lot of blame to go around. Mike, your thoughts on game number 1 at the Link on Sunday?
You know, the defense has to be more disciplined if they're going to win in this league, because teams are going to see what the Rams were able to do to this defense to get them out of position so many times over and over. And they're going to do likewise. The league copies one another. And that's really what jumps off the page. When I think about this game, I think about how that offense was able to get this defense out of position so many times with the way they move the pocket, the way they execute their offense.
Merrill, your thoughts?
I'm disappointed. I really am. I think the turnovers kill. The whole tone of that game was set by a turnover at the very beginning of the game when the Eagles had their first possession. Miles Sanders looked like he was out to have a big day, and then fumbled, which is understandable when he hasn't been hit all summer. But at the same point, that was the biggest play at the beginning of the game. And then, as you mentioned, as Mike mentioned, the interception in the third quarter, that really threw everything out of kilter, because at that point, I thought the momentum was really on their side. Carson put it into a tight corner, and I think he should have, if the coverage was that tight, he should have just thrown it away.
Okay, so let's attack a couple of different angles here. The Eagles have given up defensively 64 points in the last 6 quarters, the last 2 quarters in Washington, and then 37 today. How concerned should we be here?
I think we should be very concerned.
Yeah.
I think when you give up that amount of points, nothing else matters. It's a game of points, and it just tells you. I mean, a perfect example was after the Eagles scored a field goal, they kicked the field goal to make it a 24-19 game. They're down by 5 points. They kick off on the very first play from scrimmage. The back runs for 40 yards. You can't have that. You just can't have that.
Yeah, if you can't play defense in this league, Dave, you're not going to win. You know, the teams that are in the postseason, there are teams that are able to limit the scoring of their opponents. And right now, we're not seeing that from this defense, and there are way too many holes in this defense.
But, Mike, why are there so many holes? That we all thought the coaching staff coming back would be an advantage for the Eagles. And they went out and they invested in the defensive line. They invested in the secondary. What are you seeing on this defense?
Hey, when you got, and I said this to the guys when we were leaving the booth today, any quality defense in this league over history, they've got stud players at each level, at the defensive line, at the linebacker level, and at the safety level. You've got to have star players, playmakers at each of those levels of your defense. And I don't feel that the Eagles have that on their defense right now.
Mike, did Los Angeles go after the Eagles linebackers today?
It's just by the way they play their offense. It's going to attack your linebackers. It's not necessarily that we're going to target their linebackers, but that style of offense will target your linebackers just by its nature. And if your linebackers aren't up to snuff, you're going to get what the Eagles got today.
Merrill, Carson Wentz has thrown 4 interceptions and turned the football over 5 times. This is not what Carson Wentz does. Is he pressing? Is he trying to do too much? And by the way, all 4 of those interceptions have come on first down. What are you seeing for number 11?
Well, that's a very good point, Dave, because turnovers kill, and that's what's killed this team 2 weeks in a row now. Turnovers. And I think he is pressing. I mean, I can't get into his head, but there were a couple of open passes late in the game where all he had to do was loop it. One was to Dallas Goedert. One was to an open Miles Sanders, and he just flat out missed easy throws. So is he pressing? Again, you'd have to get into his head, but it sure seems like he is.
Guys, Mike, what happens in the Eagles locker room here? They said everything right after the game. They're going to keep fighting. I mean, it's a long season. We know that. The NFC East, look, Dallas had a miracle win today, but it's still wide open. Mike, what happens in that locker room here this week ahead of the Cincinnati game?
Listen, there's no time to worry about what's happened today. They have to gather themselves. They have to try and figure out the best game plan going forward against the Cincinnati Bengals. Dave, this is a week-to-week proposition, and they have to be prepared for this week. There's nothing that they can do about what just happened today. They have to get ready for Cincinnati and put together the best game plan given the players that they have.
As tough as the loss in Washington was, Mike, I mean, I feel like the defense, 3 of 4 red zone scores by Washington, 4 of 5 today, Los Angeles. Jim's defenses are usually really good in the red zone. What is happening there?
They're usually really good in the red zone. They're usually really good in stopping the run, and we're not seeing that. That's what really scares me about this football team, that they're unable to stop the run game, and that's going to easily make the passing game just open for teams that they're going to play against, and the fact that they are not stopping people in the red zone from scoring touchdowns.
Merrill, final one for you. The personality, the identity of this Eagles offense. Obviously, the turnovers have to stop. What's your prescription for this Eagles offense to find itself?
Just keep playing hard. Just keep playing hard. Play smart. That's the only thing that you can go to at this point. But it's very, very distressing. But after watching today, I have to feel that the offense looked like they were ahead of the defense.
Interesting. Guys, thank you so much, and talk to you next week. Okay, so where do we begin kind of talking about things from a reaction perspective? Could it be on the defense? The Eagles allowing Jared Goff to complete his first 13 passes on the way to a 20 of 27 day, 267 yards, 3 touchdown passes, all 3 to tight end Tyler Higbee. We talked about him in the Eagles Insider podcast last week with JB Long, the radio voice of the Rams. Eagles clearly giving up big plays. 191 yards in the run game. And then the offense, again, failing to score points, turning the football over, not sustaining drives. The run game, decent with 121 yards, but just not enough to keep pace with the LA Rams. So let's begin with Wentz, who talks about first the interception in the end zone, an attempt to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Wentz said he tried to force it, and it was a mistake, a costly one for the Eagles. The best of Carson Wentz in his post-game press conference.
we know we're right there. At the end of the day, we had two interceptions and the fumble. Turning the ball over is really killing us the last 2 weeks. Those are things we know we can clean up. But other than that, we truly feel that we're right there. We're just missing some things, timing of some things. So we're not panicking. We know what we got to clean up, and we will. Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of case by case. Last week it was something. Today, like I just said, I tried to force one in there, make a play when, I probably didn't need to. And so, the fumble, that Miles had, that happens. Those are things. The timing of our mistakes is really killing us right now. But we know once we get these things cleaned up, we have the potential with the pieces that we have on offense to be great, to be elite on offense. And, we're excited to get those things fixed and to start showing that we are elite. We're obviously frustrated. You never want to start 0-2. Last week, the way we lost to Washington and starting 0-1, obviously not what we want and not how we expect to finish ball games. And then today, coming out behind it again, not where you want to be, but we know that there's enough things through 2 games, offensively speaking, that we can put on the tape and know, all right, we're right there. We're just missing some things. We're right there. Don't panic. We'll be okay. And I've always had all the confidence in the world in our defense. Things happen, but we're not panicking. We're excited to get back on it. Yeah, I was just moving to my left and saw JJ had a step on his guy. Really just tried to force it in there before the free safety. Obviously not what I should have done. Guy undercut it, made a great play, and that definitely we had some good momentum that drive going. We were moving the ball well. Tried to do too much, try to make a play, and obviously can't do that. Yeah, we got to execute. Plain and simple, we got to execute. We executed some things very well today. I thought we had some good movement up front, running the ball in our turbo type stuff, up-tempo offense. Did some good things, just not enough, and got to protect the football. So I've said it a couple times now, but we're not panicking. The sky's not falling. There's some good things that we're doing, and we'll get back on it.
Head coach Doug Pederson not at all pleased with the way his team has played through 2 weeks. Obviously understands that it's a long, long season, and this veteran football team can turn it around. Still wants to see the Eagles sharper, wants to see the Eagles more urgent, wants to see the Eagles get in the win column next week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's head coach Doug Pederson after the game.
Well, I thought there were some good plays there, some good decisions. He did a nice job, handling the run game with some of the checks that we had going on, and got us in and out of some throws from the standpoint of bad defenses into good positive plays. So he handled the game that way. The one thing, again, that we all have to take a look at, especially offense, is just the turnovers. We had the fumble early, and then of course the interceptions, and that's kind of been. I think these first 2 weeks of the regular season, that's been the sort of the tail of the tape. Yeah, I thought they overall, played well, played better than the week before, and again, it's a good defensive front that we played. We know Aaron Donald is a tremendous football player, and our guys handled him and what they were doing, really well. So hats off to those guys. They worked hard during the week to prepare for that, and I thought overall did a nice job. Well, that's the thing. We had some momentum. We got the 3 points, and I believe we got it to a 5 or 6 point game at that particular time, something like that, and really felt like the momentum was on our side, and defense was eager and ready to go back back out on the field, which just needed to find a way to get a stop at that particular time and get the offense out, and that's the one thing we'll take a look at, and we've got to do better there. We've got to coach it better and play better in those situations to where everybody understands that you get one stop in those situations and give it back to your offense. You got a chance to take the lead on maybe the next possession. Well, listen, it's it's not about one player or one unit. The offense has to do their part, obviously, and not turn the football over. And we got to put points on the board when we have opportunities. Field goals are great, but when we get into the red zone like that, it's we got to come away with more scores, touchdowns, and then the defense has a part in that too. they pride themselves on getting off the field and trying to help the offense. These things go hand in hand. It's not one unit, one guy. It's things we gotta address. We gotta address them quickly.
The offensive line much better in this one. The return of Lane Johnson key for the Eagles as they handled Aaron Donald and company. No quarterback sacks. Wentz generally got the football out of his hand quickly and moved the ball at times, completing 26 of 43 passes, 242 yards. But those 2 interceptions looming large. Let's talk to Jason Kelce after the game about the performance up front and the offense in general.
There's always going to be analysis on how the game went, and obviously last week everybody kind of took their turns messing up, whether it was blown blocks, blown assignments, whatever. The pass protection last week certainly wasn't good enough. I thought it felt pretty good out there today. Obviously, playing one of the best players in the league, Aaron Donald. There was a huge emphasis on being able to stop him. He's a game wrecker. I thought we did a pretty good job of stopping him and the majority of their players in terms of pass rush. But yeah, we don't make it too difficult. Just double team him. I think he's by far, a generational talent that can wreck a game. And, you could see he's getting frustrated because he knows we're making it extra hard for him. But, I think, when you're in a position where you can double them, there's going to be times they're going to be one-on-one, and in those instances, you got to, man up, I guess. But, just try to put him in a situation where, he's not going to be able to wreck the game for us. And, we've put emphasis on that every time we played him. He's a tremendous player. I got so much respect for that guy. So, I think that obviously Stout's the one that builds all these protection plans and everything. So, and obviously we throw our 2 cents in throughout the week, and by game time we got a pretty solid plan of attack. I try not to look at it big picture. Obviously, very frustrating to be 0-2, but it's on to next week. I think it's only gonna stop when we start winning games, and I don't think it really behooves you to look too far past our next opponent, which is Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody's just got to try, watch the tape, get better, improve. As an individual, collectively, as a team, find out what you can do to help us take care of this. Obviously, really frustrating to be 0-2, but this is the spot we've put ourselves in. So, what's next? Well, what's next is the Cincinnati Bengals, we got to be ready to play them and try and get this thing back on track.
Defensive end Brandon Graham has been in this position before. He's not giving up. He says the Eagles will come back strong. You can book it. Here's Brandon Graham meeting the media.
I'm confident that we can turn this around. When you look at certain parts of the game, you like, okay, we don't beat ourselves in certain situations. We getting off the field on defense, and then, we can't give up the ball. And then on defense, we got to have the offense back. We just got to stick together. And I believe that we going to do that. You know what? It's a challenge, but it's something that we, have been successful in. We just had to stay true to who we were and reading our keys and staying true as defensive end. We had to close down and make sure that we squeezed the gap. And we did it for most of the game, but those big plays happen when you try to do something different. And so we can't get frustrated by their game plan. We got to make sure that we continue to stay doing those little things on what we do as a defense and how we play. And, we should be fine. But I do think it's everything that happened today was self-inflicted. And, of course, they came out and they executed and, they won the game. But I know that we can get a lot of stuff right because I love our spirit. I love our fight. We was right there, and then the turnover happened, but we could still have Carson's back if we get off the field to give him the ball back. But that didn't happen. They scored again, and, we just couldn't stop the bleed.
And just to cap it off here, one note, Carson Wentz throwing 0 interceptions for the first time since the Eagles lost to New Orleans. Remember that ugly game back in 2018? Eagles losing 48-7. Well, since then, Wentz has thrown a touchdown pass in every game until now. It's bounce back time again for the Philadelphia Eagles. 0-2, tied with the Giants at the bottom of the NFC East. That'll do it for this Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. Thanks to Peter Kelly and Ray Doyle for their work. Thanks to all of you for joining us here on the Eagles Insider Podcast. We're back on Wednesday with more as we turn the page and look to the Cincinnati Bengals next Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and fly, Eagles, fly.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
We want you to know about all the podcasts in the Eagles network of podcasts. So make sure you tune in to not only this Eagles Insider Podcast 3 times a week, but make sure you subscribe and listen to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, our Journey to the Draft podcast Tuesday and Thursday, and our Eagles Update podcasts, which give you the news in a flash, Monday through Saturday throughout this 2020 season. Sign up, subscribe, and listen to our Eagles network of podcasts.